Hey everybody! Alright, so today is going to be a short walk. I have to try and teach a lesson tonight. And so I'm going to do my best and I'm going to avoid this. I'm going to be smart today. I'm going to walk slow, take a short walk, and go this way. But I am feeling a lot better. I hope you can see that, like, my skin's a lot better. Something's really changing in my body. Like, once it was ready to go, it was ready to go. Yeah, last night I was like, this morning I was like, my body feels really differently. These walks are doing something very differently, getting past the pain. And again, when I'm walking now, like, I can't sit. Like, I was working on my resume and I was just, I couldn't sit. I was just like, the pain, I can't get up from the pain, and the pain's changing now. And I can't sit from the pain, and now the pain is in the hips. It's so severe. So I'm in this kind of weird up and down kind of thing where I'm up and down, where I'm up from the pain. I'm like, which one do I choose? Like, I'm up and I'm like, because the hip pain hurts so bad. That's such a beautiful view. It's such a great, I want to see if there's a way I can get this view for you that doesn't get the house. I'm wondering if I can get a view. Can I get, like, let's see if I can get any of that? There, you can see a little bit of that view. Look at that view. Isn't that really gorgeous, you guys? I don't know if you can really kind of, oh, look at that sky. It's so beautiful. So gorgeous. Wow. Yeah, yesterday I was watching the video with my friends on chat and everything. And it's so funny because I heard them go, when I was like, oh, I see the view. They were like, yeah. And I realized, like, they had been waiting for me to see it. Like, because they get to walk this path. They've been getting to walk this path for years now. And I didn't get to do it, and I really realized they've been great. Well, I mean, I hear about it. But they're great about, like, realizing they don't tell me everything that's on it. I'm so glad that they don't. It would have killed me, I think, if I had known, like, everything I was the thing about friends, that choosing the right friends, anyway, so that's a whole nother story. I want to say at the very beginning of this, so that I'm like, every time I try to mention these poor girls, every time I try to mention them, it ends up going wrong or something. So I want to say it at the beginning of the tape so that I don't forget. I really want to make it clear. Let me just stop so that I make it clear at the very beginning. Like, I want to make it very clear about this. So the deplorable choir. So I feel like they are responsible for me walking. I was trying to give them, this whole time I was trying to give them a compliment. I am very, very grateful for them. It's not that, I feel like in the society that we're in, you have to agree with everybody 100%. That's not America. America is about the freedom to dissent. I really thought that my Clean the GOP I really try to make that clear in Clean the GOP. Like, it's not about agreeing with each other 100% at all. America is about the freedom to dissent with one another, the freedom to disagree with one another. Ronald Reagan made a joke about that. Someone's allowed to come into his office and pound on the president's desk and say, I disagree with what you're doing. But in the Soviet Union, you can't do that. In communist China, you can't do that. You probably can't do that in the European Union or whatever. You definitely can't do that in Iran. You definitely can't do that in the Middle East. And you definitely can't do that in Africa. You get your head chopped off. And so we're really lucky that in America, we have the freedom to dissent. And they're really doing that with all this funding, with all the money that they have in universities and stuff like that. They're really, in the culture and everything, they're really trying to push it down on us that we don't have the freedom to dissent from one another. And so I was trying to say, like, these girls, like, I love their passion and their freedom to be free. They're happy and they're free. And they're not scared to speak their minds. And that inspired me, and their ability to speak freely and not have to conform to anybody else's thinking, like, gave me the freedom, like, it shoved my body almost. And that is the amazing thing about, I think, the Constitution and the Bill of Rights is that it does inspire liberty in others. It gave my legs liberty. And I was trying to say thank you, you know, and give those girls credit where credit is due. Or I think I was trying to, I mean, a bunch of things happened that day. And I thought that those girls, I was trying to wonder, like, did those girls have something to do with it? And I think that they did. And I was trying to give a compliment, right? And so I'm really grateful. And the things with it, like deplorables choir and stuff like that, we can disagree on stuff like that. I'm not demanding. Demanding means like asking and stuff like that, and disagreeing and things like that. That's not demanding. If you ask somebody like, hey, can you pass me the milk? That means they don't have to pass you the milk. If you demand that they pass you the milk, they have to. If you're not okay with them not passing you the milk, then you're demanding that they pass the milk. And that becomes dictatorships. Does that make sense? When it's not okay that they obey. And that's what gets me, you know, so I just wanted to really make that clear, is that, you know, it's not that I love these girls because I'm like, oh, I really want to make that clear. It's not that I'm like, oh, I love these girls because I agree with every single thing that they say. That's not it at all. I love that their freedom and individuality and their freedom to say it. Their freedom to actually say what they think, their freedom to defend the First Amendment, which is defending our freedom to dissent with one another, and their freedom to be happy and to say, if you're okay with the freedom to dissent, the freedom to be yourself, then, you know, this is where we are. You have the freedom to dissent. And that's something that I've been learning, that the president, at least the administration, that the Trump presidency, as far as I don't really read his feed. I'm sorry, I don't get into it. I don't have the time. I'm too busy researching. And like I've said on my feed before, and on my videos, I've said, like, read what they're actually doing. I don't think I can go that far. I think I should probably turn around kind of soon. Is that I've said, like, see what they're actually doing, like the legislation that they're doing. Let me give you a quick example, like free school choice. Betsy DeVos has this plan, I found out, for free school choice. She actually has this thing that doesn't use taxpayer monies. And I didn't even know about it. She has this big plan that she's been trying to put out since January. I didn't know anything about it. I had to find out because I went to the U.S. Department of Education. If you go onto their YouTube channels, like the U.S. Department of Education or the U.S. Department of State or the U.S. Department of Housing and things like that, they're really trying to get out, like, what their administrations are trying to do or what they've been actually doing. And when you find it out, they're all trying to, like, adhere to the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, which is like restoring rights. Like, one of the big things they've done is restore the rights. I didn't even know this, but like a bunch of civil rights were stripped from our veterans. I had no idea about that. And I mean, it makes sense now that we know about the UNFCCC. I mean, the whole entire, you know, climate change agenda, not climate change in general, but the agenda that's happening at these UN meetings for climate change. Like, the UN is one thing, but the UN climate change agenda, if you actually go to these climate change meetings, you can go ahead and you can even find them on Wikipedia. If you go on, and it's the UN climate change conferences, and they have a whole bunch of different kinds. They almost one ever happens every single weekend. And what they do is they get together in these meetings and they meet with politicians from all over the world and what's called sustainable development partners. And that's why all of your universities now have a sustainable development department. That's what happened at Evergreen University. They had a sustainable development department. And what these sustainable development departments do is they basically, like, harvest the information that these students are coming up with at these universities. And then these students bring their ideas to all these UN events, the sustainable development partners, they bring them forward, and then they give them to all of these big companies, these transnational companies. And these transnational companies like Monsanto and Bayer and BASF, the chemical company that's been around for 150 years, and these big banking corporations, these big transnational corporations, then they go ahead, and Amazon and Jeff Bezos, Warren Buffett, that's why they're the top 10 companies in the world. Berkshire is a huge one. Soros is a big one. These companies, these transnational companies and banks and everything like that, PwC is huge. They do a lot of the deals. PwC does all of the deals for all of these things for sustainable development. They get together with these university students and they sell the students on it. They say, oh, we're going to fly you to Tahiti. Oh, we're going to fly you to Fiji. Oh, we're going to make you feel like a rock star. Oh, and they fly them and they take these sustainable development ideas and the kids get to present them, and then they say, oh, we accept your idea. Oh, that's great. And then they go and make trillions of dollars on the idea, and they say, you saved the planet. High five. And the kid is cut out of all the profits. Kid doesn't get any of the money. That's what universities are for now. That's what those sustainable development platforms are for now, is that, it's just to harvest all the ideas off the kids. And unfortunately, then the kids go and then they have no idea what they just did. They had no idea that that's what they've done. They know that their ideas, if they're actually used, made trillions of dollars, but then they're just jaded about the world. They think those guys are in control. And parents have no idea that they are now in debt to those banks for $100 million or $100,000. And I'm just kind of like, well, you could pay the same amount and get your kid a house. Like, go buy them land. Pay the same amount and get your kid land and at least get them a 2% interest at the end of the year. Like, that's the exact same thing. You don't get any guarantee that your kid's going to get money if you send them to college at all. Like, go buy them a piece of land for the same amount of money. Like, go out in the middle of America. There's free land out in the middle of America for way cheaper. You can get free land and pay $30,000 on the taxes and be out, and you'll be happy, and your kid will be set for the rest of your life, and you can be happy and know your kid is set. You know what I mean? And stuff. So like, here's another thing that Trump is doing. Like, he's thinking about doing a C2C thing of wireless, like getting wireless, because that's what infrastructure is supposed to do. The wireless companies don't want to do it because there's nobody out here in these rural areas. And they're like, oh, well, there's not enough companies or customers or whatever. But that's what infrastructure is. We have freeways out here, even though there aren't a lot of customers out here. But they still built highways. They still did that because there's still people out here. They still needed to build roads. And so it's like, that's what the government's for. They're supposed to be serving the people. And so he's trying to go ahead and get some fundraising to get wireless so that, like, people aren't stranded. And my thought on the whole thing is kind of like, when there's not wireless signals out in the middle of the desert, like you saw it in Breaking Bad, how much illegal activity goes on in the desert. When there is no cell service, tons of illegal activity goes on. Like, there's a ton of smuggling going on and trafficking going on. And I'm just kind of like, wow, when you have woods where there's no cell service, guess what's happening? Like, if there is someone trapped or if there is a girl trapped, I'm sorry for all the feminists out there. Where are you liberal women who are worried about girls who are getting caught and they have, like, you're all worried about me. Oh, does she have a cell phone or anything? Which, by the way, I am now texting my husband every time I leave, even though my house is right there, but I'm texting me every time he leaves or whatever. And by the way, that last time, just for everyone who freaked or whatever, I wasn't worried because I left at a time where I knew he was coming home for lunch. So that's why I knew, even when I was having the episode, I was like, he's going to be home in 5 minutes. Like, I just knew, like, I could lay on the grass. Like, if I couldn't cry my way up, I knew that he'd be home soon. And I would just scream and be like, I'm down here. He'd be like, where is she? I'd be like, I'm down here. I could hear his car come up. Like, I knew he'd be home in not that very long. Like, I knew I had left at a certain time and I knew he'd be home. So I wasn't worried. That's why you saw me not worried about falling on the ground. Anyway, I don't remember where I was, but like, where are all the, feminist women that are worried about these girls who are out in the middle of the desert when they're caught by a guy and they have no cell service? I mean, these are things that are thinking about the people and not thinking about, what benefits these transnational partnerships. And that's one of the big things we really learned in one of my big research. If you go onto I'm starting to put it up on bookofkatherine.com. If you look up this blog post that I did, it's called, I think it's the one called, let's see. It's about politicians. It's about politicians and green. It's how pollution and BASF. It's like how pollution ate the earth or something like that. It's about BASF and why politicians turned into lawyers. That's right. And I really go into how I found out, like, why politicians turn into lawyers. Right about 30 years ago, right when both the two people in the White House turned into lawyers, that's because all of a sudden, like, sustainability, the sustainable development movement, which is climate change, same name, right? Just two different names for it or whatever. It requires deal making for these transnational companies. Instead of actually Congress passing laws that actually benefit us, they do deal making for all of our, just like they do Haiti, like we freaked out about Haiti, like, oh my gosh, Haiti and Hillary. Well, the same thing's happening in America. They're doing the exact same deals. Mitt Romney, Lindsey Graham, they're all doing the exact same deals. They're all doing the exact same deals. America, they're selling off America. That's why Verizon has a monopoly. That is why cable has a monopoly. That's why all of our internet things have these monopolies and we get shut out. That's why Jiffy Lube comes into town. And that's why all your little guys don't have another competitor anymore. And that's why Jiffy Lube's just like, sorry, this is the only place you can get an oil change now. And this is your oil company. If you want to get an oil change, this is it. California was really bad. We were just like, it was extortion. If we wanted to, in California, it was like, in order for you to get an actual approval of your license tag, then to get that license tag, you had to get an oil change. You had to get a smog check. Then to get that smog check, you had to get this kind of fee. And to get that fee, you had to get an oil check. And to get that, you had to get it at Jiffy Lube. And to get it at Jiffy Lube, you had to get it at $100 for an oil change. It was insanity, and it was just extortion, extortion, extortion. And then you start listening to the Soviet Union, you realize it was the exact same way there. Well, that is all deals done with sustainable development. And then you look into it and you find out that California passed every single climate change law, including, by the way, all of their abortion laws, which I'm sorry, but that means no medical license, which means women are dying right and left. And all these women, I've never said where I am on abortion. I've never said it. I've never said where I am on abortion. But I will say this. What the hell with no medical licenses? Like, what the hell with no medical licenses? Like, are you kidding me? Like, doesn't anybody care that not one abortion clinic is now, like, in all these bills that they're passing in New York, in Colorado, in California, that sneaky into it, it says, oh, everyone's like, oh, you support infanticide now. Oh, you support infanticide. I'm like, are you going to mention the fact that now are you going to actually mention the fact that they don't have to have a medical license anymore? Something that the left and all these liberal women actually care about? Like, are you kidding me? Like, I'm an independent. I'm moderate. I'm in the middle, right? Like, I'm caring about my own medical issues. The one thing I have said is that it would be nice if I was paid for. It would be nice if my spine was cared for. Why are these women paid for? Because they have a uterus. Like, why is there 2 ovaries? If only I had the right kind of problem with my ovaries. I have a lot of problems with my ovaries, but I don't have that problem with my ovaries. I can't have a kid. So it would be nice if I could have a kid so I could actually get that treated. Wouldn't that be nice? But that's the one problem that they cover, so I don't get covered. My spine is the problem. My hips are the problem. So that doesn't get covered. Why does everything else get covered? That's really interesting to me. And then we find out about Lilith, and we find out that Lilith was actually not even a person, not even anything. It turns out the original thing of Lilith was actually just a class of demon that was winged and went around killing women and babies. And a class of thing in Babylonian times that went around killing women and babies. And isn't it interesting that they're sharing Lilith everywhere on HBO while 400 women and babies were killed in China? You think that's a coincidence? I don't think so. I swear heavens above, now I'm worn out, but not enough to not get up the hill. That's enough for today. I should be able to teach dancing. I should explain that before I go up. Teaching dancing for me is this. Like, I sit on a chair and I have a cane, like, you know, in that movie Fame, and I stick or not the movie Fame, the show Fame. You guys see that show from the 80s, Fame? And I'm gonna live forever. I'm gonna live like a star, Fame, right? Oh, that really hurt. Dang it. Okay, so I just get so excited with dancing. So you take that cane and you go ahead and you take that cane, that lady, and she would stomp that cane. She'd be like, do that. And just point to everybody and you'd be like, fix that, fix that, fix that. That's me when I teach dancing. So I can totally do it. Yeah, I'm really good at it. So that's one thing. I love it. So it just gets my mind off the pain and everything like that. And plus, people just jump like 12 years ahead in their dancing with my instruction. I really, really love it. So I really love like brightening people's world and watching their faces light up. So I'm really, really lucky that I have it and I can actually do that and everything like that. So, yeah, but I got to work on my resume because I gotta actually do the things that I tell you to do, right? If I'm gonna tell you to like go try and get to the White House and go to DC or go to the Capitol or go to your state and actually get involved in politics, because that is the one thing I've really noticed is that they are really, really trying to get anyone who believes in the Bill of Rights to stay the heck away from government. I've noticed that because you know what happens if you get involved in government? You won't do the sustainable development deals. You will not do the transnational partnership deals. You will actually do things that have to do with human rights and the Bill of Rights. You will not do free market capitalism. You will do human rights capitalism, because 99% of countries have capitalism. But the difference between us is that we do human rights capitalism. All of our bills are like human rights capitalism. We protect human rights, and they don't. They have labor camps, and oh my gosh, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, if any of us get involved in government, we won't do that. Like, that's the thing. And that's majority of Americans believe in the Bill of Rights, and they don't want any of us getting involved in government. So that's the point, is that you'll notice that Ben Shapiro and Dinesh D'Souza are like, government's the problem. Government's the problem. And then everyone runs from government. No, government's for the people. They're not the problem. Dinesh just did this thing where he was just like, oh, they pulled a number out of their butt. And I'm like, no, they didn't. Wall Street took a lot of time and energy deciding on that number, and they made sure the Mayo Clinic charges that, so this isn't here. They did it at the UNSC, they did it over here at DOBA, and then they did it over here, Marrakesh, and over here. And I'm like, no, they did it at the UNFCCC. Like, I'm like, we totally know where they did it. What are you talking about? They pulled it out of their butt. It was really a really specific number. And then they charge a bigger number at private practice, so a smaller number at the hospital. So they make sure you go to the hospital where Wall Street can make it, so that they put private businesses out of. I'm just like, we know all of this. What are you kidding me? And so they really just like try to hide the UNFCCC. They try to hide the climate change government. They try to have, nothing's done at Congress anymore, and we really need to vote them out so that we can actually put in real people. And by the way, we did. We actually voted in real people. It's just there's a few left in there that are still doing the deals that didn't get out in our last round. Does that make sense? Like, we have another round to go in 2020. Like, we got to clear them out. And the ones that were left are what they put up in leadership. So that's who we see. And GOP McCarthy, he's the one in charge, and he's not letting any of the Trump bills, like any of Betsy DeVos's bills, get on to the actual voting block, or else our people would actually vote them in. Like, they're the majority right now. Our people are sitting there waiting to vote. That's why Mitch McConnell, who was a Democrat, by the way, in the 70s, just changed to GOP. Just changed to GOP. But I'm just going to keep on going. There's so much to tell you. I better get off. Peace out. I love you guys. And by the way, I want to give a big shout out to China Uncensored team and US Uncovered. If you guys want to know how much freedom we have in America and why I love the Deplorable Squires so much, and how I can tell that they're free, right? And are able to speak their minds, it's because I watch China Uncensored so much. And yeah, like AstroTurf gets in there. Yeah, there's like little things that get in there that like aren't actually true and stuff like that. But they capture, like 99% of it is like spot on, right? But China tries to get in there. Like they hate that channel, right? They try to get in there and bust it up. But what's happening to China and the way they live and the culture they have, that is what they want America to be. And you really need to take a look at that. You need to watch that channel to find out how China lives and what reality is like for them, to understand what communism truly is in today's world, so that you can understand the freedoms you have here and how similar they've made our culture just through the media, and how much they regulate their people through media, so that you can see it when it happens here and understand how free you actually are. It'll really set you free. And we wouldn't be able to do that if it weren't for China Uncensored. Nobody else is doing that. And especially their old tapes, start from the beginning and move on up, because their history, like they cover real news now. And not only that, but if you go through their older stuff, you get to learn a lot about world history. Like I learned about Malaysia through them. I learned about like India through them. I learned all these different things. And it's just really, really important. You get to learn the world news. You get to learn about Africa and things like One Belt Road. And like he was the one that informed us about China, like China and Italy coming together. Like how was Italy ever supposed to know that they signed up for One Belt Road? Like that there, I warned you guys in December. I said, those guys are snakes. Those guys are wolves in sheep's clothing. I said that. So I was like, they are not, just because they're shiny doesn't mean they're real, doesn't mean they're real. And Nigel said it. He's like, I didn't believe that guy. He just seemed like he was nothing. He's like, I guess he's something now. And I was like, nope, turns out that he wasn't. He signed up for One Belt Road. I was like, Nigel's first instinct was right. Was right. And by the way, the very last thing I'd like to say is that Brexit. Brexit really happened. Look it up. Brexit actually happened. It would have had to pass both House of Lords, the House of Commons and the House of Lords, and it only passed the House of Commons. It didn't pass the House of Lords, the extension. So the extension only passed one house. It's just like our Congress, our Congress has to pass both the House and the Senate. For the extension to have happened for Brexit, it would have had to pass the House of Lords and the House of Congress. And the extension did it. The extension only passed one house, which means Brexit legally actually happened. So that means you're out. The only thing telling you that you're not out is the press. That's it, UK. You're actually out. What does that mean for you? That means you can do trade deals. That means you don't have to live by any of the regulations. If the EU comes to you and says, oh, you need to put those fishing nets back together, you just be like, sue us. Like, that's it. You just be like, sue us. And you go to court and, you win. Ha 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 ha. And what's really nice is that you're huge. You're a huge economy. And so I really encourage you trade unions and things like that, because the amount of money that you're going to be able to make with trading with the America, because America is the #1 economy in the world. We are massive. We're a massive economy. Now, the other economies are going to do it. They're really in sync with the EU and sustainable development. They're not going to want to do it. But Trump is very, very open to trading. So you can go ahead and trade with Trump and talk to Nigel and things like that. And boy, you're good. Because Nigel's already said, Nigel has been saying, if you listen closely, Nigel's been like, I'm going to go meet privately with Trump. Like, what? You need to start listening to the things going underground, because the media is not going to tell you. So I know I'm sneaky. I listen. I try to say stuff, but it's hard to get it all out there with my illness. I'm like trying to I just you have to, I don't know if it's just, oh, and another thing to read is Scarlet Letter. Sorry, I've been locked up for so long, and I'm just like, oh, and I'm also trying to distract from the pain. I'm not talking about a minute. You gotta watch this film on slow. I love you guys. I better go. All right. Bye. Have to get my finger to work. Work. Finger. Hold it. Oh, I signed my name yesterday. I actually signed my name. I really actually got to sign my full name, not just I actually signed my name. It took forever, but I did it. I actually signed my name. I'm so proud. Big day. Big day.